So we are so excited to be back to break down the week one of the main slate on DraftKings for the 2024 NFL season. In this video, we'll focus on quarterbacks. We'll let you know who to target and who to take a pass on coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants. Eric, super excited to give our early initial takes on week one quarterbacks, and we did the same for running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, so look for those links in the description.
A word of warning, by the time the season starts, news is going to come out, which will alter some of our opinions in this video. So what we're committing to you right now is we're going to do a show that gives a full cash lineup and our favorite GPP plays closer to the start of the season. So you don't miss that show or any of our future content. Make sure you're a subscriber, so hit that red subscribe button.
And smash the like button also, because that's going to get you always getting content from us. At FFC's community, we would like to hear what you think about week one quarterbacks, so put who you like in the comment section.
Michael, I am ready. Let's go to the studio and look at the quarterbacks. All right, Michael, we're on the main slate here on DraftKings for week one. And when we scan the quarterbacks, we're missing some familiar names that we like to pick.
Yeah, exactly. Jalen Hurts, he's not on the main slate. Pat Mahomes, obviously don't have him either. And gosh, we're missing some other guy too, right? Who's the other one? I already forgot.
Lamar Jackson.
Oh, yeah, Lamar Jackson. So that really kind of shrinks the list a little bit for a big name.
So when you're looking for a big name, there's only one left, and that's Josh Allen. We'll talk about him. Got a great game environment here. He's a home favorite, a ridiculously high implied total of 28. But Michael, at the end of the last year, I was a little miffed by what was going on with this Buffalo Bills offense. They ran the ball more with the new offensive coordinator change. Only 233 yards passing on average in their last 9 games. And they really de-emphasized Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. Good thing, because those guys are really going to be de-emphasized this year. Neither is on the team anymore. But the one thing that is probably still going to be a case of Josh Allen and why he deserved to be the most expensive quarterback is his running. The guy averaged 47 yards rushing a game with 11 total TDs. A lot to like here with Josh Allen in a great game environment.
Yeah, exactly. There's a reason why he's the most expensive. Arizona's not going to have a good defense again this year. Josh Allen, he comes out pretty much strong right out of the gate. Again, partly because what you mentioned, he's willing to use his legs, and he gets in the end zone with his legs. He represents so many of the rushing touchdowns, but a little bit nervous about the impact of a receiver core change, especially with it being early in the season. But I think he's going to be tempting to take in this first week one.
Now at $500 less is CJ Stroud. And Michael, I can't say enough great things about the rookie season that CJ Stroud came. And then they add Stephon Diggs to this receiving core. But I'm going to be blunt. I think he's overpriced at $7,500, mostly because the guy does not run. And it really hurts his fantasy value to have that. But I mean, you tell me. I think this guy is the real deal in real life. I mean, he averaged 274 passing yards per game with only 5 interceptions.
Yeah, no, he is the real deal. And because he's the real deal, I think they're going to protect him. You got to really try and push him hard not to use his legs, even though he's great on the ground, or at least he was in college. I think they're going to continue to air him out. Indianapolis is kind of weak all around. I don't necessarily think that the running back change in Houston will mean they're going to, run the ball a lot more. But I think you said it right. He's just a little too expensive especially early on in the season when we're not sure if we're going to see any more running out of him.
He's playing in the Dome, and some people might be really excited about that. But guess what? Spoiler alert, $1,200 less on the other side of the field is Anthony Richardson. I want to talk about him now, Michael. Tell me a little bit. I mean, we had such a small sample size last year if you look at the game log, because the guy just didn't play much. But in 2 full games, he averaged 48 rushing yards a game. That's more than Josh Allen on average, with 2 rushing TDs in the 2 full games that he played. And in the other game that he didn't play for a full time, he scored twice. So, man, just leaving fantasy aside, do you think this guy is going to be a strong NFL quarterback in his sophomore season?
Well, I'll tell you, he's an athlete, and they got him because he's similar to what Lamar Jackson meant to the Ravens. He is a dual threat. They want to use him that way, a little bit different than CJ Stroud. It's like you say, it's just too small of a sample size. We really only got to see 3 games out of him last year before he got injured. He's coming back from an injury. I had my concerns coming out of the draft, whether or not he had the accuracy to play at this level. But I mean, look at the passer rating that he had in those last 2 games. Obviously, the last one was short-lived, but it really felt in that Rams game that he was going to have a big season right before he got hurt in the Tennessee game.
And you see at the end of his 5th game, he had a DK salary of $7,000. So we're getting a $700 discount on that. So intriguing, let me just say that. So we'll go back up at the top. And when we're looking at the next series of players between Prescott and Tua and Burrow, we can kind of talk about who our favorite is in that. It's not Prescott for me. I will say it's probably Joe Burrow at $6,500, with a major caveat that I want to make sure that he's going to be healthy. He's coming off a season-ending wrist injury last year. He's already throwing. We want to make sure that he's had a good preseason. He's in a great game environment. At home, 9.5-point favorites over a hapless New England team, a whopping 26.5 implied total. The lines makers, Michael, say New England's not going to be very good.
No, New England is going to be down. Defense was their strength last year, if they had a strength, which isn't surprising because they've always been a pretty defensive-minded team. But Cincinnati, they use the pass to move the ball. And so, having a healthy Joe Burrow back, I think will, really have an impact. He still has his top receivers. And so, like you say, if he is healthy, to me, this is the one to like most. I know that Jacksonville-Miami game is supposed to be a little bit of a higher scoring game, and Jacksonville has been pretty bad against the pass. At least last year. But I agree with you. I think the price tag makes Joe Burrow more enticing. And I completely agree with you that Dak Prescott going up against Cleveland scares me, even though he had a couple really big games last year.
Tua is $7,000. And Michael, my immediate thought is that's overpriced at $7,000. But they're building into the fact that he is simply stronger at the beginning of the year, when the weather is warm, and certainly when he's at home. You can see what a fantastic start he had last year, at the beginning of the season. And like I said before, 49.5 over-under. It's the highest over-under on the slate. This has real shootout potential. If you're playing GPP, it is very tempting to use a stack in this game. So that means you're either using Tua or Trevor Lawrence. You want to save $800 off Tua? Let's talk about Trevor Lawrence. Now, Michael, as a pledged Trevor Lawrence fantasy owner last year, I can say he was extremely disappointing last year. Last 2 years after his rookie season, he has now averaged 246 passing yards with an average of 23 TDs. That's only slightly above average in yards and below average in TDs. Last year, they added Calvin Ridley, who everybody was so excited about, and his TDs dropped and his interceptions increased. So, I mean, this guy is a former #1 overall pick. Is Trevor Lawrence the real deal? Is he going to become one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL one of these years? Or is he just going to be someone who is always going to be below those high expectations?
I think he's the real deal. I think he's going to have a good year this year, and a great place to start is in Miami. So I
And
like this price tag.
yeah, and his DK price tag is pretty reasonable at 6,200. And there's no question he doesn't run the ball like a Lamar Jackson, but he will help you fantasy wise in his legs, most importantly around the end zone, with 4 or 5 TDs in each of the last couple of years. And again, I love this game environment, big shootout potential. So if I want to save some money, I am looking at Trevor Lawrence as a particular opportunity. I'll tell you who I like a lot less than Trevor Lawrence, even though he's only $100 less, is Kirk Cousins. The guy doesn't run at all, and he's coming off a very significant Achilles injury. So I want no part of him in week 1.
Yeah, and he's going up against a Pittsburgh defense that's been really stingy and tough on quarterbacks, right? So they're going to protect him. The way to do that is to take advantage of Bijan Robinson as a strong running back.
All right. So whatever you're saying, okay, you've talked about a lot of guys. I want to go on the cheap for a quarterback. So I'll tell you who I am enticed with, and tell me if I'm crazy. It's this year's Anthony Richardson at $5,700. Jaden Daniels. The only thing that really bothers me about Jaden Daniels at $5,700 is it's a horrible game environment. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Washington has an implied total of only 18.5, and they're on the road, and they're underdogs, 4.5 points. But forget about all that. Let's talk about the fun stuff, Michael, about Jaden Daniels. This guy was incredible in college. He was a great passer. He threw for 40 TDs versus 4 interceptions, 72% completion percentage, while still averaging 11.7 yards per attempt. And this is what makes everyone excited. Ran for 1,100 yards, most of any QB in college since Lamar Jackson. It gives you that great floor, and the price is just ridiculously low. And it's not like Tampa Bay last year had a super strong defense.
Yeah, and Tampa Bay's been, traditionally better against the run than the pass. So, that's another reason to kind of like this. I like what you say about Daniels using his legs. I think they're going to let him use his legs. I think he's, going to be fun to watch this year. It's just really hard with a rookie who you just don't know what kind of, offense they're going to march out there this year. So I'm scared of anyone who doesn't have a track record in the NFL yet.
And again, probably my favorite quarterback for cash this week is Anthony Richardson at 6,300. So it's only $600 more. So if you can afford that, and with bargains that may come up later, I likely think you should be able to afford 6,300 for Anthony Richardson. But for some reason you didn't, and you wanted to go in this range, Jaden Daniels is nice. I just want to comment that we have a bunch of quarterbacks here that are in good game environments, that are home favorites with decent implied totals of at least 23. That is Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, and Justin Herbert. Do you have a favorite among any of those that kind of catch your eye that you think you'd be excited about?
I think of the 3, I actually might lean towards Geno Smith. I'm pretty interested to see what he looks like out of the gate. I just think he has Not only the most upside of the three, I think he has the best matchup of the three. I think Vegas's defense is going to be pretty good this year, and I somehow the Chargers always are worse than they should be on paper, and so I would say maybe Geno Smith is the one, but like you say, why not go with someone like an Anthony Richardson, who's only a few, well, $800 in that case more.
And I really wonder about, I don't wonder that of Justin Herbert's talent. I just wonder about the talent around him and the new coaching staff and whether they pass a lot less, not having Keenan Allen, not having his little dump off Austin Eckler to run screen passes with. I really would shy away from Justin Herbert in week one. You're probably not going to like this, Michael, because I know how much you hate rookies. But the other person that's down here that at $5,900 in a similar good environment, a home favorite against with a decent implied total against, well, I don't think is a very good team, Caleb Williams. We kind of talked about it in the Survivor show. He's got unbelievable weapons, right? DJ Moore is back, who was sensational last year. He's got Keenan Allen. He's got the first round pick in Rome Odunze. But I know you have concerns here about the game plan that Chicago may implement.
Yeah, I just think, with the Caleb Williams being such a big part of their team now, they've got to protect him. And so, the number one way to protect a quarterback if you have a running game is to run the ball and then build off of that with play action. And that just doesn't necessarily bode for great fantasy points unless your quarterback's going to sneak in a couple of touchdowns, which hopefully for Chicago Bears, there's not a need to do that early on in the season. So I think they're going to kind of slowly march him out. But I agree with you. Tennessee's a pretty weak foe. So.
All right. So we've given you a bunch of quarterbacks to consider. And remember to check in the description for all the other videos that we are doing in breaking down DraftKings and later FanDuel for week one. Until then, take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
On the screen now is 2 videos we think that you'll enjoy.